every lesson that you can imagine that's valuable to function in a high-performing level at anything in life, I think the foundations are exactly the same. No one really applies that level of rigor to their personal life.
Exactly.
Why would you not? Your personal life's more valuable than your career, pretty much. You figure it out, and then once you got the direction, then you can create the sort of strategy and day-to-day tasks that you need to do. Then you can form the habits around that optimize your energy level to go from where you are now to that thing that you want to go to. And you've got to want that outcome or avoid the negative one enough. Otherwise, you won't do what it takes to get there.
Yeah. Well, it's such a privilege. We have Mark Mathews on our podcast today. Mark is one of those crazy guys who gets pulled into those big waves. And it sometimes feels like this guy doesn't have any fear. Or does he? I'm not sure. Well, today we're going to find out. I'm so privileged, Mark. Welcome, and thank you for being on our podcast today.
Mate, the privilege is all mine. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to have a chat with you. I've been dying to have a chat with you, and I'm like, what better way to do it than do it in front of the cameras?
That's so good. Well, we're going to just have a bit of a chat. Mark, you had some great accomplishments, 3 times, Oakley Big Wave Awards, some amazing, great things, sponsorships by Red Bull, great achievements. Also had a setback or 2 in your time period. But give us a bit of an overview of you, Mark.
I mean, basically, my parents love surfing, and I think I fell in love with surfing because my dad loved it so much. And then I wanted to be a professional big wave world tour surfer, but I wasn't quite good enough.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going down the path of big wave surfing somehow because I was terrified of the ocean when I was young. Like, I was the most scared out of my peer group.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It was like the moment I first surfed big waves, or big waves to me, like the feeling that I got from conquering that, like that was probably the first time I ever conquered any fear in my life, like real fear. And it just felt amazing, and it made me fall in love with that aspect of surfing. And then I just took the ball from there and ran with it, basically, and that was my career. Chase down, find, forecast the world's biggest waves, travel there with a team, document it, and then basically that content goes out in the media, and marketing value of the media, we get paid from companies like Red Bull and Oakley and different companies like that. So I've done that for 15 years.
Wow.
Until 2016, and then I had a really bad injury, but we can get back to that later.
So let's go back to that little boy. You grew up in Maroubra. I've lived there for 14 years, and amazing, really good. And you said that, one of the times that you were sitting on the beach and just watching these people surfing these waves, and to you, as a little boy, you thought that was big waves, and it wasn't even that big, but you were scared. And one time you were paddling out, and you're sitting in the back, and your mum actually had to paddle out to come and get you.
I think there's more than one time. There's one really distinct time in my memory. Yeah.
What was it that made you so scared about the waves?
I just had a really bad experience at a young age of being held underwater by a wave, and then that stuck with me. I'd say that to parents all the time. You want your kids to surf, don't throw them in the deep end too early, because that like huge setback or that level of fear that early, like it scars you, basically. And I had that with me like quite early. And then possibly some genetic aspects. Like, I'm quite a neurotic person, so like most things in my life, until I actually conquer or master the skills of them, I am quite wary of things. Like, I'm way more than what people think. Like, I am quite neurotic by nature, so I have a certain element of fear from that as well. So I think that's why I was like that as a kid. But I just always found that I fell in love with the challenge of doing something that scares me. So even if I started as the most scared, I enjoyed the challenge of overcoming the fear. So I would start there, whereas everyone would start there. Yeah. But then by the end, I'd be there because I just love that feeling. The
adrenaline.
The challenge, yeah. Oh. Like, it's the adrenaline, but it's more like just the proof to yourself that you think you can't do something, or you're not built to do something, but then you can do it. Like, to me, that whole journey is even better than the actual adrenaline. The adrenaline's an unreal part too, but that to me is like that. I think that's the basis of living. You know, like, it's kind of like you got to be always chasing a goal that's like really important to you, and it's above what you can do at this point, and you got to stretch yourself to get there. Yeah. And if you stretch yourself, like, it feels unreal when you get there.
Yeah, because there's so many people going into business, and they want to start a business, even if it's just a surf shop or their coffee shop, or they want to start or going into a big company where they have to maybe get funding, and it scares them. And a lot of people choke, and then their businesses collapse, and it's a ramification. But some people are a bit more gutsy, and they really believe in a product or in the innovation, and they really go after it. Would you say that's the distinctive factor of people going, I feel the fear, but I'm going to push through it to get to the other side?
Yeah, I think there's an element of that initially, but then it's how much hard work can you do in that journey? Because you can have a drive to take the challenge. Say, start a small business. Like, we both run small businesses. Like, and in this country, this is not an easy thing to do. No. Like, I take my hat off to any tradie that goes from employee to starting their own business, to running a building company, and that's in any aspect or career in Australia. It's so hard. You know, it's so stressful. You're putting everything, your finances, your time, everything on the line.
Your family, everything.
Yeah, so like, people can be more prone to do that because they don't necessarily see the risks as much, and they're kind of more prone to see the reward, you know, like, and then other people might not see that reward so much, or they're more prone to the risks. But what allows people to be successful is, one, being able to see the rewards, also having a clear understanding of the risks, but being able to like do that work that you need to be able to do, and not let it burn you to the ground. Yeah, like, they're always the ones that kill it. More so than, like, you'll get the people who are less risk adverse, but you'll see the one that kills it, but then you won't see the 1,000 that crash and burn because they take too much risk. And then you'll see the whole bunch of people that are risk adverse, and you see all the ones that don't make it, but then you see the ones that did just get out their comfort zone. Yeah. But those risk adverse people, they're like, they can see all the things that they need to manage to not fail, and then they're super successful. Often when those people partner up is kind of probably the best part.
It's so good. And there would be times that you would be ready for a big wave, and you're at the back of a jet ski. I mean, you can't pedal in on these waves, right? It's impossible. The water just moves way too fast. You need a powered jet ski to pull you in. Has there ever been a time when there was this great wave, they pulled you, and you pulled out?
Not early in my career, no. Early in my career, I had such a drive to be successful, and I think young people from that age are like 16 to 25. You don't forecast the future as much. You go through this age of like crazy levels of testosterone and risk and all. Like, I see it in every sport. You know? Yeah. And so in that period, there wasn't. I can't even remember that I wouldn't have gone. That was like somewhat makeable, you know. Like, and even waves that weren't makeable, I was still going on. Like, not like if it was completely, this is going to kill me, of course I wouldn't do that. Yeah. But there was definitely more risk in that era of life. But then I had to get like, what that happened was, because the appetite risk is too much, so you get lots of success from it, but then the injuries and the wipeouts and everything comes. But then with the experience and the age, your risk appetite might go down a bit, but you get smarter, you know, like, and you start to learn to do things better. So then your actual overall performance ends up being better. So like, I could ride big waves, and I rode the biggest waves in my career. I rode them the best that I rode them more around that 30-year mark, after I'd had some crazy bad wipeouts, where I was still taking the risk, but I was managing the environment way better.
And that's so important. And what would be the biggest wave that you've ever surfed? How big was it?
Biggest wave I've surfed using a jet ski is probably I don't know, like 70 feet maybe, around that mark, and paddling without the jet ski, maybe 40 or 50 feet, like the face of it, yeah. So, but the road to get from scared 10-year-old kid to 50 to 70 foot waves, I mean,
it's a lot of learnings.
And people see the 50 to 70 foot waves and go, oh, you were born like that, you know, like you're just crazy. Like, some people are, for sure. I'm not one of those people. What's in between there, what you see as hyper courage or fearlessness, is just an obsession of surfing from the age of 8 until the time I rode that 50-foot wave. Like, I was staring at the ocean, surfing in some capacity for 10 hours a day, every single day until there, and building the skills and the knowledge to do it. And that's like anything. Like, it's not fearlessness, it's just like an obsessive level of building skills and knowledge that then allow that situation. It's not anywhere near as dangerous for me as it is for another person. So that means basically I'm not necessarily more courageous than you, because for me this is not as dangerous as it would be for you to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you see a lot of people who turned over companies, they 50 million, they $400 million companies, and people are, when you talk to those CEOs, they say, oh, this is my 5th business, my 7th one. I've been liquidated so many times, I've lost my business. They had their wipeouts. Yeah. But what they did with that is they had learnings. Yeah. And then people say, you know, I think it was Henry Ford, when they said, if we would burn down your factories and stuff, he said, just give me my people and I'll bounce back immediately. And it's that learnings. And so the learnings...
not giving up at that place, and realising that doesn't necessarily have to happen every time if you carry the learnings from the failure into the next one. And if you have the ability to change how you're doing what you're doing, or to be able to determine, was it completely market force that was out of your hands? You know, like, that's a thing that you need to determine also. You know, that's the same in the ocean. It's like, some waves are unrideable. It wasn't my fault that I fell. There's nothing I need to change going into the next wave. Or maybe there is, you know, like, so it's the analysis of it as well.
And that's tricky, like you're saying, there's certain forces outside of your control. The swell direction, wind picks up, anything. There's certain things, and yet you still get the waves, and from years of experience, you start learning which ones to drop in and which one to probably say, hold on, let me catch the next one. What were some of the biggest learnings that you've had in surfing that you can think that people can apply in business and in everyday life?
Oh man, it's everything. Every lesson that you can imagine that's valuable to function in a high-performing level at anything in life, I think the foundations are exactly the same. It doesn't matter what you want to do, what field you're doing it in, whether it's in your career, whether it's to do with your health, whether it's in your relationships, like, what sits at the heart of the performance to do that, it's the same. So it's like, you could ask me a lesson or tell me a valuable business lesson. I'll show you how it sits in the world of big wave surfing. I'll show you how it sits in the world of my personal life. You know? Like, and I honestly believe that the foundation is like, you first need to know what you want out of business. So if we stick to the business realm, or you could do relationship on site, you need to know what you want or what you want to avoid, which they are the same thing. It's just some people are more positive focused, some people are more like fear avoidant focused, but it doesn't matter. You're establishing direction, and people will do that in business or their career. They're like, I want to go to uni, I want to become a doctor, I want to do, like, and they're quite detailed in that. I've got to do this and this, I've got to do these, I've got to score this in my HSC, then I've got to pass my GAM, so I've got to do this to become a doctor, you know, like, no one really applies that level of rigour to their personal life.
Exactly.
Why would you not? Your personal life's more valuable than your career, pretty much. Like,
exactly.
So it's like, you figure it out, and then once you got the direction, then you can create the sort of strategy and day-to-day tasks that you need to do. Then you can form the habits around that to maximise the amount of motivation you can, and then you can apply, like, everything that gives you energy and health as a human and optimize that. And that's like diet, exercise, sleep, all these different things that optimize your energy level to go from where you are now to that thing that you want to go to. And you've got to want that outcome or avoid the negative one enough Otherwise, you won't do what it takes to get it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, I don't know. I couldn't go and become a chopper pilot, right? Because that's really hard to do. It's really hard to fly a chopper.
Yeah, it is.
The study's really hard to do, and it's really scary. You know, like I don't have enough desire and need to want to become a chopper pilot to do that. I never did, even in the world of speaking originally. I was getting offered talks all the time when I was surfing. And I didn't really have the desire because I'm a natural introvert. Being on stage is terrifying to me. So I never could really do it, and I never did do it that much. And then when I had like the career-ending injury, it was like I had to do it, you know, like and that level of drive and seeing like, okay, now this is the ultimate goal, and then I can solve the puzzle of how to do it.
Exactly.
Apply everything I learned in the surf to speaking and the fears of speaking. And then eventually I can become, now people come up to me and go, oh, you're such a natural storyteller. Like, you were just born to do this. Like, I'm like, oh, I couldn't spit a sentence out when I was like 28, you know? Like, you can look at the interviews. Like, I'm not lying. I never spoke in front of a classroom ever in my whole schooling life because I was too introverted. But now I've been speaking as a career for the last like 8 years full time, so all of a sudden you seem like a natural communicator, you know?
And there's a misconcept that people think that introverts can't be good at speaking, and they think extroverts. Actually, if you look at the world's best speakers, and the majority of people that's in that bracket are all introverts. The best speakers are introverts, and I think a lot of people have a misconcept about it because it's actually just energy. Introverts get recharged on their own. Extroverts get recharged with people around them. So even for people listening here, that if you are introvert and you think, oh, I would never be able to speak, here's Mark. If you've never heard his keynote, it's phenomenal. And like you said, he's an introvert, and he doesn't feel the urge to go, hey, I need to get out there and speak. Would you say, which was most scarier for you, the big wave or speaking?
Oh, speaking by far. I mean, like, there's a huge a gap of time between when I did both of them, so it's hard to remember the fear too much as a young kid surfing. But speaking for me, like from when I first got offered a proper keynote, had to sit down and write it, learn it, deliver it in front of it was like 600 people in Waikiki, like that journey, and then to go from then there was average to becoming like world class where you're getting booked 100 times a year all over the world. Man, that journey was way more stressful. I reckon that knocked years off my life compared to surfing. But like you said, it's like I'm introverted, but like the special thing about, but it's special for introverts and extroverts. And like you said, it's an energy exchange. But introverts, what I've found with myself, I'm hypersensitive to what you guys are thinking and what you're thinking of me and the way you're feeling. And usually that hypersensitivity to that makes you not want to get up on a stage because it's like, it's just too much, you know? Like, but that skill of being sensitive to the way people think and feel about what you're doing on stage, that's such a valuable skill because then I can like craft the way I deliver what I deliver because I can go, I can see that person within that 600 in that exact moment, like kind of their energy went there. So I need, you know, like you feel it because it's so visceral. But then an extrovert, what they have is like, so for me that's exhausting. You know, like so I have to manage getting exhausted. But an extrovert has the energy and wants to be on the stage. But you just have to be cognizant because they might be less sensitive to how the audience feels. They just want to get their talk out. But they have the energy factors powerful. But if they can be like cognizant of the fact that they need to be aware, then they also have a superpower, you know, like, so it's just that. And I love that thing with when it comes to genetic personality traits, they're like, that you can, the way you use it, they don't have to dictate your life completely. No. You know, like, and often people do the personality profiling and disc profiling, and it's like, you should do this career, which is fine because it will benefit you if you base it on that. Yeah. But for me, it's like, I made a conscious decision. It's like, I want to retire in 10 years. Yeah. The only way that I'm retiring in 10 years is doing a, like, forward-facing role where I'm up on stage. Like, I unfortunately wouldn't be able to do that and doing a different type of career where I can relax as a natural introvert.
Yeah.
You know? So you just got to make a conscious decision again to get back to what do you exactly want, you know? Like,
Yeah.
That's the most important part, I think.
Because speaking can be very crucial, standing in front of people that you either say the wrong thing or you do the wrong thing, and you see somebody falling asleep or getting on their phone and you start thinking this person isn't paying attention, I'm boring, feeling judged, you know, am I not doing a good job? Because
sometimes it's true, but sometimes people are distracted no matter what, and that's exactly the same way. Sometimes that wave was unrideable, sometimes it is your fault, so it's deciphering.
I remember speaking in New York, and there was thousands of people, and a guy sitting in the second or third row. I started speaking within 4 or 5 minutes. I heard the person go, he was falling asleep. Literally within 10 minutes, the guy was out while I'm speaking. And the problem was he was flying from the West Coast to the East Coast, and he had a little kid, and he came to me during the break, and he said, I'm so sorry. He said, I've had 2 hours of sleep. And so many times we make up a lot of stories. And one of the things that I love about what you're talking about is there's this TV that's getting this noise. It's almost like it's not on the right channel. It's getting this white noise. And sometimes it's this stuff that comes up when you are either in the water, you have to surf, you're scared of sharks, marine creatures, what's happening, sitting there at the ship's stern blast for, walking onto a stage, doing something, the noise is coming.
Yeah. That's a mental chatter.
How do you turn it down?
Yeah, I learned a lot about this. So if you take it back to, so the people in the audience go, I'm here and I would like to achieve this or avoid this. That journey, you have to develop a whole lot of skills and knowledge. And doing that, building that experience, it's going to be scary. Like a bunch of the people in the audience for their career are going to have to learn public speaking. They're going to have to learn to influence teams. They're going to have to learn all these hard things to do, or go through all these difficult decisions, stress. So getting that experience is going to be really hard, right? But you have to do it.
Yeah.
You just got to recreate scenarios. Do the 10 public speaking courses, video yourself all the time, watch the video about all that stuff. But so what I found in my surfing career is what I needed to do that I wasn't doing when I was young is managing the anxiety or that mental chatter between the big swells, right? So I was getting myself there to get the experience and surf, but I was eventually getting run down. And I found that what helped me the most is learning how to, I see a swell forecast on a Monday morning or today, and there's a huge swell headed to this time of year, it'd be Europe. Nazaré is going to be 70 foot, or Hawaii, Jaws is going to be 50 foot in a week's time. So I'm like, okay, straight away I'm like, I'm going to be surfing 50 foot waves in a week's time, you know? And it's just like a TV turns on in the back of my head, because that's your fear center. It's like, and then for that next week, it's going to play in the back of my head every single different way I might die in a week's time when I go to surf, right? So if I sit there during that week, spend too much time watching that TV, and when you watch a negative thought long enough, negative thought, focus on it, emotional reaction your body has, tenses up, and then that's the exhaustion. So if I watch it, by the time I check that swell forecast and then I go to surf, when I put my foot in the water there, my body feels like it's already been through 1,000 wipeouts because I've been playing them over and over in my head.
It's a reality now.
Yeah, so the huge advantage I found in my career was, okay, how can I manage that? How can I turn the volume down on the TV a little bit, make myself not actually have to watch it all the time? Now, this was a long learning curve of how to do that. I went through a lot of different ways, because initially I thought I had to turn it off completely. And initially I thought every thought in my head had to be positive before I went to surf, otherwise I wasn't going to be able to surf.
And that's not true.
I found that for me to be complete rubbish, because I could be thinking negative even in the moment and ride the best wave of my life straight away. So for me it was more disconnect so that I wouldn't physically get exhausted, right? And then turn up on the day and be scared on the day, but at least I've got physical energy. I haven't run myself into the ground. And so I use a whole series of techniques to do that. And people with all the different, let's call them cognitive techniques, with all the different cognitive techniques, some people like different ones, and they are more powerful to other people. And it's good to have a suite of different ones. So you can have like mindfulness techniques, breathing techniques, you can have neuro-linguistic programming techniques, you can have even just like blatant distraction techniques, but all of the techniques are basically trying to take you out of that away from watching that negative TV into the present moment.
Yeah.
Because in the present moment, you're not experiencing those thoughts in your head, and all of a sudden you just go, relax, you know. Like, so I used all the different techniques to do that, and they helped me like insane to be able to turn up on the day and not be scared. But along with the techniques, this is the one thing I try and explain to people. All the techniques in the world, right, will not make up for a lack of preparation. Yeah. You know, you will never manage your fear unless you are prepared. Yeah. So you prepare and you use the techniques. Because a lot of people are always like, okay, I'm going to use these breathing techniques to control my anxiety on the day of my speech. Yeah. I can breathe and breathe and breathe. And you can go, I'm going to do some positive affirmations, some neuro-linguistic program right before I walk on stage. And then and you do feel really good. Yeah. And you walk out on stage, I'm like, I'm going to crush this. And then you're like, as soon as you walk up on stage, boom, it's gone. The confidence is gone because you don't have the skill set to actually deliver the talk. So I always find, because you've got to do both. Yeah. You know? But they're both so valuable.
Yeah. Even for myself, when I was 12 years old, I had a really bad experience standing to do a speaking in front of my classmates in school, and I bombed, and the kids laughed at me, and I created a story that I'm terrible. At the age of 18, I tried to commit suicide, and I was so scared of speaking. I ended up getting into a power station, shoveling coal, working as a labourer, and then eventually did a trade, and then studied into engineering. And then something was wrong. I couldn't speak to people. So then I studied a 4-year degree in psychology, then advanced psychology, and then child psychology. And yes, it's like you're saying, there's so many things you can learn. Even though I had all these learnings and I fully understood what is glossophobia, how does it manifest, how does it work, there's something that you're mentioning here. I don't know if you've ever heard about the word VET, V-E-T. Yeah. That is voluntary exposure therapy. Voluntary exposure therapy is you can have volunteers say, pick me. Yeah. I'll walk up again, even though I feel the fear, I'll volunteer to expose myself in front of everybody, and that's therapy. Yeah. I don't know if you've experienced it like that.
Well, in your psychology degrees, right, is that not the most important thing that you learn about dealing with fear? Because nothing, like, if you don't expose yourself to it, you won't learn to deal with it. And the beautiful part about that saying is the voluntary word.
That is.
Yeah, because it's like, you need to be the one who chooses to take on your fear rather than someone force you to do it, or have the world impose the stress and the pressure, because the voluntary part switches your brain. It like does. You go from, okay, I can be a prey animal and have the world come down upon me and force its like stress and pressure, and it's like everything's trying to kill me. Or I can say, nah, I'm going to take on this challenge, overcome this fear. And in that mindset, you're more like a hunter. You're a predator. And it's the two differences in the way your nervous system functioning are black and white, the amount of stress you're under. So it's like, but then it's getting yourself to voluntarily want to take on that challenge. But that's where, like, I always end up coming out, I sound like a broken record, but it's like, you got to figure out what's important to you, you know, what do you want and why do you want it, you know?
So talking about that preparation, right, it's like preparing yourself. You sometimes jump in a pool, you hold a rock under the water and walk underwater, and why do you guys do that?
Yeah, so that's voluntary exposure therapy for big wave surfing. So what we want to do is take the scariest moment in big wave surfing, which is when a huge wave, you wipe out, and then that wave basically tries to drown you, right?
I've been there.
You've been there. And anyone who surfs has, because it's relative to your experience. And if you have the moment underwater, and you can have it as a kid, of panicking, it's friggin' terrifying. And what determines any wipeout in big waves especially, whether or not you survive or not, is just controlling a panic response. If you panic, trying to hold your breath, you'll burn through your oxygen 10 times as fast as what you will if you can remain composed and keep your heart rate level without it going through the roof. So it's all about, okay, how am I going to recreate what I'm scared of to train myself simulate it as close as possible, so that then when I go out in the ocean, I'm quite comfortable. And we do it with, I go get a free diver, Nam Baldwin, he lives here on the coast. We go to a deep water swimming pool, the ones below the Olympic diving boards, about 5-6 metres deep. Siren goes off, we both dive into the water, swim all the way down, touch the bottom of the pool.
Do they blindfold you?
No, not blindfold, touch the bottom of the pool. My job, get to myself to the surface so that I can breathe. His job, hold me underwater like a wave does, basically till I black out. Like, he doesn't like me telling people that, but it's like, if it's not real that he's going to take you to that level, then it's not close enough simulation, and then I won't be scared enough. Yeah. So then we wrestle, you know, like, and I'm trying to, you're creating this terrifying scenario where you have to remain composed in.
Yeah.
And if you do that enough, then, I go out in the water now, I've never in my entire career of surfing the world's biggest waves come across a wave that's held me underwater for even half as long as what that prick holds me underwater for. So it's like, do you know what I mean? And now I'm comfortable in the ocean.
And he would probably allow you to go up, so you're almost there, and then he pulls you down.
Yeah, exactly like a wave does. You have a leg rope on the bottom of your leg, and it's like, I'm going to get my breath up there, and then he pulls it back down, you know, because he can hold his breath like 5 times as long as what I can.
I was once surfing in Maroubra at the south end side, and it was big. It was probably, for me, it was big, 8 foot. And I got smashed by a wave. I took off. As I bottom turned, I think I might not had enough wax on my board. I slipped off, and this wave picked me up. You know how it sucks you over, threw me down. It rolled me so many times, I didn't know which one was up or down. And as I was coming up, literally my eyes just broke through the wave. My nose wasn't even above, and the next wave bashed on me.
That's what you trained for, yeah.
I literally got out there, I was purple. I was so scared. I think I didn't go into the water for 3 months. Even when the waves was just 2 foot.
You just faced death.
Yeah, it was
that close to dying.
It was terrified for me. Seriously, it was that bad. But it
takes you a long time to get past it. Like it's like, that's what I say when you're like building that experience. It's one small step at a time. Like, if you try and go too far too early and you have that experience, then you're going all the way back down, and you got to rebuild it all over again to get the confidence back, you know?
So one of my friends, Tim Stewart, in Sydney, he said to me, get yourself a longboard. So I got myself a Fireball, a 9'2", and we just started surfing 1.5, 2 foot little waves. And I just got back into the water, and surely enough, I started building up to 4 foot again, and feeling that, okay, I feel like I'm a bit more in control. And sometimes in business, people do this. They get scared. They have a bad quarter. They go in, they lose a big deal. They lose one of their most valuable staff members.
Losing a staff member or losing a big deal, and you think it's on your head because like the way that you took the task on, or the pitch that you delivered, or like all of those things are the same as wiping out in the ocean.
And so business people can simulate this, and they can learn, right? And like, you've got a mentor, people who's helping you as well. That's why mentorship and people who's helping you, I mean, these people who say, I'm a self-made millionaire, they're lying. Nobody is a self-made millionaire. Nobody. Even what you are doing as a big wave surfer, winning those Oakley titles, it's not just you. It's the crew. It's the people. It's the family. It's the other surfers who's encouraging you, your family. It's people around you that is guiding and giving you advice and helping you, and that person is simulating with you. You think it's very important to have the right people around you?
Oh my God, it's like probably the most important aspect of performance is the people around you, and I mean the overall environment. I mean, as leaders, if you want to be an amazing leader, basically you optimize the environment of your team. If you optimize the environment, then the best comes out of them. And I can watch this with my daughter, right? My daughter's 6.5 now, right?
She's very
we put her into
brave.
skateboarding. Yeah, see, this
I
is
saw
what
that half pipe.
Think. Yeah. So everyone thinks she's crazy like me, right? Maybe there's a tiny component, but we put her in skateboarding at the age of 4.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because I wanted to learn balance. You're a little bit too young to be in the ocean at that time on any type of waves. It's too scary. But you wanted to learn balance, get the system ready for wobbly things. So my wife took her to a skate academy here just for little kids to learn skateboarding, and it was like a 6-week program. You pay up front, you got to go to the 6 weeks. Mate, the first like 3 weeks of that 6 weeks, she hated it. It was terrifying for her. Like, I got the videos of her so scared, so like just absolutely terrifying. And then so from that point of being that terrified, in two years, she now drops into a 13.5-foot vert ramp. Like, I can't drop into a 4-foot vert. Like, 13.5-foot vert ramp, and she's 6. And so, like, what has made that possible? I have played no hand in making this possible one bit. What made that impossible is the environment she's in. She's at a place called Level Up Academy, right?
Very good place.
Skate academy. The Olympic champion was from the academy. So if you break apart all the factors that have allowed her to go from there to there, is she's with this little crew of girls that are the same age as her, and see, like, everyone's like, oh, your daughter's just crazy, your dad's a big wave surfer. But well, the 3 other girls who are even better than her, their parents aren't big wave surfers, you know. So it's the environment, you know. The
environment is so
the
good.
Coaches in there, like, but I feel like kid level coaches are the most undervalued coaches on the planet. We always hear from the coach that like is the mental coach for the world champ tennis player now. But whoever got the kid to be motivated from the crying 4-year-old girl to the vert ramp, like, these dudes are so amazing at
it's
coaching.
So important that time.
I've never seen anything like it. And then so they've got the coaches, they've got the superstar goal, like Arissa True, gold medalist, comes in there every day and skates with the little girls, holds their hands, so that they have this unbelievable goal that they want to achieve. They've got this crew of friends around them, their support crew, amazing coaches, and this environment of excellence, and that's what does it. So if you're going to, like, if I want to, you know, like, lead my daughter to become good at something, it's like, I manipulate the environment. I don't have to do anything. It's just like, I'm going to create a cool, like, here's your environment, grow, you know? So that's what leaders should do with teams.
Exactly. Putting them in an environment of learning, understanding, simulating, doing role play.
Get rid of that. You should see how quick they will get rid of a kid in there who's, like, toxic for the environment. No matter how good a skater they are, they'll just be like, nah, you're out. You don't fit within our culture. Like, but when people say the All Blacks, they're one of the most amazing winning teams. You could go to that skate academy and do, like, write the exact same books. That's how good this academy is. Like,
that's amazing.
As, like, and Trevor Ward, the coach, is. Like, he's created something that's like the All Blacks.
It's life-changing. It is. And I've seen your daughter skate and stuff. She is fearless. It looks like she's just going down this ramp, coming up the other end. And then she's just pretty good in the water.
She don't fall much.
No.
It's like the coaching was so good. The coaching is so good. They have such an amazing safety equipment, and then they take this little step, this little step, this little step. So she has not really, touch wood, had a bad fall. And she's dropped into the, like, not once, no broken bones, because the environment and the learning curve is perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you throw them in the deep end too early, broken arm, never want to do it again. Throw them in the surf too early, near drown experience, never really want to do it again.
You pull back.
Employees, push them too hard, devastating career failure, don't think that they can do that again, hard to come back from, you know, like, public speaker, put them in front of an audience too early. Everyone's always like, you want to learn public speaking, get up on stage and just do it and learn. It's like, no, wait. If you get up in there and do a shit job, you'll never get another job again. It's like, you know, like, make the craft, and then when you're ready, get up on stage.
It's learning those battles inside of a controlled environment. So you coming back into 2016, you had this horrific fall. What happened? So your foot got into a reef. What happened?
It started, if I went back a year, I rode the biggest wave I ever rode at Jaws, paddling.
In Hawaii?
And I dislocated my shoulder really badly on this wave.
That's correct.
And then I was out of the water for 10 months with this shoulder injury, had full reconstruction, as bad as you can do a shoulder, like fractures in there, every ligament torn, like just destroyed. And It took me 10 months to even I was just back in the water at 10 months. And then this is similar to a business fear or a career fear. I was really scared of losing my sponsors at the time. It was contract time coming up and I hadn't been in the water, so no exposure. And they didn't think I could surf, get back to where I was. So I jumped in too early to go on the next trip. And then I went to surf a wave on a Red Bull chute down the south coast of New South Wales in Australia. And not a huge wave, but the nickname of the wave is Killers. And so this is the thing, you can have really big tall waves that are scary, but you can also have waves that you call slab waves, and this is what Killers is. Comes out of super deep water, way more powerful than your average wave, and then where it breaks is on a reef, like a rock bed, and it's that deep.
Yeah.
So the error, like, it's uncontrolled. I can't train to hold my breath in this, but it's like I fell really unluckily, got rolled over in the lip, and then just got smashed into the reef. And the part that was super unlucky, because you do hit the reef, that's like falling off a skateboard.
Yeah.
Consistently, but the unlucky part was me. It was like this whole front of my leg seemed like it got stuck in a groove in the reef. And then when the wave squashed me, it dislocated my knee, so my whole knee went backwards like that. And it tore all the ligaments.
And then the wave comes over and it pulls you forward.
Rolled me around, and then because my knee was apart, it tore through the major arteries in my leg while I was getting rolled around, and all the nerves that control my foot. And that's the part that never healed. The nerves are dead. So this foot, it doesn't move at all. I can't move my toes, I can't lift it up and down, which
that must have been excruciating.
Yeah. And that basically ended my professional level surfing career. I was told I wouldn't surf at all again. But
you did?
Yeah. And I was like in hospital after going from the peak of my career, just signing the biggest sponsorship deal I had re-signed, like all my, whole world, like the goals I want to achieve, buy my mum a house, like all of that seemed real. Gone. Blink of an eye. And possibly like being able to do the sport that I love to do, finish, and man, I hit rock bottom, when I was in hospital, probably all the pain meds I had to take as well. I had never, and then going from exercising every day to not one bit of movement for months.
That's mentally, isn't it?
I've never felt that kind of level of we call it, it's depression for sure, but I don't know, there's so many variations of what depression is, but I was rock bottom. And one of the things, there were a whole lot of things that helped, but one thing that was quite amazing for me, and this was thanks to my wife, she set this up. This young kid wanted to come and meet me who was a fan of my surfing.
Oh, who's not?
Yeah. he had written on social media. I didn't want to meet him. I was didn't feel I was hating the world at that point. But my wife set it up, and this young kid, one arbor, when I had no idea he was coming, he's 19 years old, his name's Jason, he gets wheeled into my hospital bedroom by his brother. So just before I'd gotten injured, he'd hurt himself snowboarding on a round the world holiday they wanted to go on celebrating. He'd just finished his trade, brother finished school, went off a jump, broke his neck. This kid was 19, paralyzed, quadriplegic. And it was just being confronted with that reality for me in that moment.
Could have been you.
It just highlighted how lucky I actually was. Whereas in my head, all I could think about was self-pity, how unlucky I am, my career's finished. And you look at that, and it's easy to just try and think that, but when it's in your face at 19 years old, it was such a powerful shift in perspective for me. And I felt that was it was still a rocky road from there, but that was kind of the starting point that gave me the energy to get the ball rolling to actually make a comeback to surfing eventually, 18 months later, 9 surgeries on my leg. But that feeling of shift from self-pity to actually gratitude and lucky, I now looked at my leg and I was I felt relief. I felt lucky that that's the only injury I had. And in my worst moments, all I would have to do, usually in the middle of the night, nerve pain's driving me mental, can't sleep at night, and I'm just down and out. And this is a selfish thing to do. And I actually said this in front of Jason because he watched my keynote once. But in my head, I would just imagine in those moments where he would be. in that exact moment and what he'd be going through. Like, imagine in the middle of the night, right, you've broken your neck, and you wake up in the middle of the night, probably from a dream where you thought you were walking again.
Yeah.
And it's like you got to realise, and you can't move. Like, you're in a dark room, not being able to move. Like, and then thinking about your life at that, like, it's just like, if I would just like imagine that, and then I'd just be like, imagine what he would give to only have my problems.
Yeah.
Like, my situation was like a winning lottery ticket for him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I tried to, like, and I'm not saying I've been positive, happy all the time since, but I try and just always come back to that. It's like and a lot of people are, and you're living a winning lottery ticket compared to someone else.
And perspective.
Like, and it's not to put
no.
Like, people have crazy problems. Like, there'll be people in your audience that have worse problems than Jace, or worse, like, going through. It's not about, like, me or you saying to them, your problems aren't that bad, you should look on the bright side. I don't want to say that. The thing is, though, as humans, you have the opportunity and the capacity to choose to think that way if you want. Yeah. It's not easy, but you can, and the little moments of that change in perspective, for me, that made all the difference.
Because perspective is such an important part. And you talk a lot about, in your keynote, about gratitude.
That was the new perspective I had. I felt lucky and grateful all of a sudden. And then that promoted healing. Like, my leg was so infected they were going to amputate it. And it was like, within meeting Jason, in the next couple of weeks, the infection had fully died down.
Do you think
like,
it's because of gratitude?
Man, even the doctors were surprised. Like, at the chat, I remember a doctor, it might have been one of the head nurses, and just being like, can you tell, like, have you been doing anything different, like, lately? Like, the infections, well, we've tried like 4 courses of antibiotics, blah blah. And I'm just like, and I remember him saying like, have you got some kind of weird herbal cream or ointment you're rubbing in? You're taking some sort of vitamins or something. I'm like, the only thing I could put it down to was, since meeting Jason, like, lying in my hospital day in, day out, I had way more moments of, instead of being angry, frustrated, hating the world, I just had more moments of actually, like, feeling lucky to be lying in that hospital bed, you know? And in between all the pain and those moments, that could have been a coincidence, but I honestly believe that is what allowed my body the chance to start to heal the infection, because it snowballs. It's like, if you feel that way, and the studies show this, there's studies where they can show that, like, a few minutes of feeling gratitude in the morning, like, what that's doing to your system and your hormone levels
and your chemical imbalance,
like a 6-hour lasting benefit on your immune system. Like, just by cancelling out a bit of cortisol, all that type of stuff, like a 6-hour lasting benefit. So to me, it was like, this must be playing a big difference. So then, from that point, I was like, I had to go through all these operations, had to do lots of physical work, but I was going to try and feel gratitude consistently. I have to say, for me, along with being introverted, I'm neurotic, man. My brain is not one bit naturally grateful. No. I don't see the world that way. All I see, like, and I joke with my wife about this, like, the way I see the world is, I look at any given scenario, all I see is problems and what needs fixing or what could be done better. That's how I see the world. I'm not naturally optimistic at all. So it was like, I had to find every which way under the sun to try and, like, implement it, you know, and just using heaps of different techniques to do it. There's hundreds of them if you Google gratitude techniques. And I would just, like, not too much, like, there's a dose of it, you know, like, but a couple of times a week, just implement those techniques.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to overdose on
and you want to use
gratitude.
Lots of different techniques, you know, like, you can't, I mean, your body can't be grateful all the time. It's just impossible. And it's not real if you try and force it, but what I found one technique that was insane. It's probably the best because it had an unintended benefit. It helped my relationships. Yeah. And when you say the people that surround yourself are so important, well, this, like, optimised my relationships at a tough time in my life. Because the technique's a gratitude text. Yeah. It's basically just writing a text message, sending it to someone in your life. And if you sit down and write a message, anything along the lines of, like, hey, this is kind of out of the blue, but I was just thinking, I'm really lucky to have you in my life.
Yeah.
I just want to reach out and say thanks, like, for everything that you do. I appreciate it. Like, it means a lot to me. So while you're writing that text, like, your nervous system goes from stressed to unstressed, like sympathetic to parasympathetic. And the bonus is, like, the person who gets the message, like, imagine out of the blue right now, your phone ding, and you had a message from someone you love going, hey, I just want to let you know, like, you mean a lot to me. I just really value everything you're doing for me. I appreciate it. Like, imagine just getting that text out of the blue. Like, you feel they have twice as strong an emotional response. Like, their system has twice as strong a response. So you're giving the gift of health and gratitude just by sending a text message. And then usually what I notice with the companies that I work with, or the sporting teams, or even the individual athletes, it's like, when they do it consistently, and when I say consistent, I'm not saying like 5 text messages a day that are just contrived and rubbish. No. I mean, like, one a month, genuine. One every 2 weeks, genuine ones. Over time, what they end up doing is, amongst their social circles, they create waves of gratitude that move all throughout those social circles. And I've probably been doing the high performance part of speaking for 4 or 5 years since being injured. I've never seen anything, or like, I've never seen a single technique. Like, there's heaps of other stuff, but a single technique have a bigger impact on, like, team culture, and then the trajectory of success of the team, or even the individual, because it just seems to, like, snowball into all these other areas of performance.
Yeah, and I love that keynote you're doing, the wave of gratitude. And if there's anybody who's listening and there's somebody, the name just popped up in your head, send them a text right now. Pause this.
It's awkward to do. It's awkward. I promise you, it's awkward to do. And I guarantee you might get an awkward response. Like, it's funny because I've had like 10,000 people send these messages to me, and some of the replies are hilarious, because it's like, if a parent sends one to a kid, the kid writes back and it's like,
what's this intended for me?
Are you dying? Like, what's wrong? Are you sick? Like, or it's like, if you send it to a partner, they're like, okay, now tell me what you did wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so don't worry if you get a funny response. That's part and parcel of it. But it's just like, eventually it'll become more natural, and it becomes a part of your relationships. And I think that eventually is good. Like, and the reason I love getting people to do it is, like, out of the 10,000 messages that I've had sent, I had 2 where the person who got the message had got it from someone like they hadn't spoke to in a year. You know, your lives go apart, they had families, and this person sent it to a friend who had done a lot for them years ago. The person was suicidal when they got the text message, and it legit saved their life, like, reading the message that they're important to that person. And I had 2 people that wrote to me and said that happened out of 10,000, but I'm like,
it's 2.
Wow, if I can make 10,000 more people send the text messages. That's why I, like, always keep that part in my keynote. I'm like, if I can get it to send it, it's unreal.
You should actually tell in a keynote by saying, I'm going to pause for 60 seconds. There's a name in your head. Send a text message right now. I'm going to wait.
I even went to one point, I gave away a family holiday to Hawaii. You know, it cost me 20 grand for the year, and to go into the draw to win your family holiday to Hawaii, you have to send the text message, and then you have to screenshot the text message that you sent. I don't need the reply. And then they had to email the fact that they had sent the text message to my phone, and then I'd be able to, like, I'd draw out a winner on the day, and they'd get like a $500 gift voucher, but then they went into the draw to the Hawaii thing, you know, like, so I was just trying to do anything possible to get people to send the message, even if it was to try and win the comp, but it would still have the desired effect, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, that's such a good thing for mental health, and that. Now, Mark, you're doing a massive impact. Hey, I've asked a couple of people on our LinkedIn, what would you ask Mark Mathews if you have them on your show? And there were some people who was seriously going, hey, I've got a couple of questions. Alexis was asking me, she said, did Mark learn something different about himself after every award that he won? And what was the next thing that you learned after you won these Oakley Awards? What was...
I think one interesting thing about winning the awards are probably two interesting things. I notice it's like you get such a high when you win the award, but it's like the day you wake up after winning the award, like maybe it hangs around for another week or so, the elation of it, but then it's like you're back to square one. Like you got to set again. Another goal, you know, like because the journey to get the award is the part that lasts longer, you know, like so it's such an amazing feeling. It's amazing for my career, but the thing that I learned is like the elation from it doesn't last long. It lasts long.
So it's the journey.
It is. Well, the journey's longer, so it has to be more the journey. Winning the award and the elation is maybe a week.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so what's the rest? The other thing that I learned is how hard I worked to get one of those awards determined the feeling from it. And that's what I always say is like when an Olympic athlete stands on a podium and wins that gold medal, and we all go like, that's the ultimate feeling, right? What that person's feeling. I believe that anyone can feel that feeling actually. You know what I mean? Because it's just, you just have to push yourself as hard at something as what that person did. It's not necessarily the height of the award, like winning the gold. It's more important how hard you pushed yourself part. So you might push yourself to go from this role in your job, take on a project that has you doing like a pitch in front of a massive client, and for you, this is that's pushing yourself as hard as what that freakishly gifted athlete had to do to get the goal. You'll have the same feeling as that person. So the feeling is attainable. You know?
Gabriel M. Tash, he asked the question, it says, when Mark is held down after taking a fall on one of these massive weights, interested to know what Mark's strategy is to keep calm under these extreme circumstances. How does he mentally get his head back in the game when you're staring down the face of one of these monstrous waves?
I used to use some funny techniques underwater. One of them was smile. I'd force myself to smile underwater. Not enough to let water in my mouth, but it's like, you know that thing where you get people to put a pencil in their mouth and a bite on it and it makes you smile and it makes you relax. It's like, I think that works underwater too. It's like, even as scary as it was, I still knew no matter what, I had to relax somehow, because that's what was going to help me. So I would make myself smile underwater. I know other surfers try and take themselves out of that. And one of my heroes, Ross Clark-Jones, he used to imagine himself in a nightclub having a hell of a fun time, like while he was underwater, and then it wouldn't seem as bad, while you're down there.
So you're not burning that energy and that oxygen.
All you're trying to do is slow your heart rate down and not panic. If you panic, you
because
die.
There's so many people that have to speak, pitch, present. There's so many people that have to go in and close a big sale. Sometimes it's $500,000 sale. Your heart's racing. Good technique. Smile. Don't overthink it. Don't go into panic state.
As long as you've done the preparation before you do that pitch. Because public speaking for me is, I say the same thing consistently, so it's not as hard. A lot of execs, they've got to do a new pitch or a new speech or a new thing. It's quite hard, but it's still, I always ask people, a lot of leaders jump on the stage and do a similar talk to their employee population around the globe, or they've got to do a pitch in front of a client, like people coming up through their roles or selling or whatever. And I'm always like, how many times have you actually said what you're going to say out loud in front of a video camera and then re-watched it and then changed it and then did it again? How many times before you get on stage? And even speakers don't do that. And I'm like, if you want to get really, really good at that aspect, just do that. Like, you can become quite an amazing speaker within a month if you actually do that non-stop.
Rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat.
I was actually doing a video just here the other day talking about the I Have the Dream speech, where Martin Luther King Jr. did that speech at so many different rallies. And that day in Washington, D.C., when it was super hot and people were annoyed, there were speech writers the day before fixing up Martin Luther King's speech for that next day. And he wasn't very happy with the speech. But they went up into midnight. So the next day, when Martin Luther King Jr. was standing there in Washington speaking, he did another speech. And if you watch the whole thing of I Have a Dream speech, he was speaking, delivering this what the speechwriters wrote the night before, and he wasn't gelling, and the people were annoyed, and there was something not working. It was the first time he's done that speech right in front of all these thousands of people. And on the stage was Mary, one of the people, the ladies that was in his church choir, was shouting out to him. She realized it's not going good. She was standing next to the speechwriter, and she said, "Tell him about your dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream." And at some point, Martin Luther King Jr. was talking, and then he looked up, and he realized, all right, and he went, "And you know what? I still have a dream." And that launched him, because that was the change, and it's called the I Have the Dream speech. But he wasn't prepared to give it that day.
So he had told that speech a bunch of times.
Many times.
Well, and it's authentic to him, I'm sure.
Yes.
But your ability to deliver, it makes it... that's the part that you sometimes have to manage as a speaker. It's I've said the same keynote 400 times in the last 5 years. But I have to make it like authentic every time on stage
and tweak it to the industry.
And to a degree, like I have to recall emotion to relive the experience. Otherwise, which is somewhat acting and inauthentic. But the way I believe it is authentic is it's what's best for the people who are in front of me. So I want to give them the best experience, and that's authentic. Even though I'm I have to recall certain things to bring up that emotion that actually did happen on the day and how I felt. But to a degree, it's acting, but it's still authentic because I want to give the
But you can't change the story.
Audience.
It wasn't that you got your arm
story.
stuck in a reef.
Yeah.
It was still your
same story. But when you say the same story 400 times, I've been through the emotions so many times.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to recall emotion from something else to put it into that part. I can't harp on enough about that building that experience. So public speaking, record yourself, watch it, and change it, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And I even do things like I'm still nowhere near a world-class communicator in general. I can do one talk well, but in general, I don't speak well, right? But I've been trying to continually develop my ability to speak. One funny thing that I do is with my daughters, you read them books, right? And some of the most amazing storytellers and communicators are the podcast readers who read out the fairy tale storybook.
Yeah.
So what I do is I put my earphone in and listen to the way that amazing person is telling the story, and I try and match the tone and the inflection and the pause and everything in it. So it's I'm trying to mold myself into that, because all of that feels unnatural to me because I've never done it. But if you do it that way, you're retraining your brain to pause for a long time to get dramatic effect, or you're retraining your brain to speak really fast, and then when you get to something important, you talk slow, all those little things. I found that a fun way to retrain it.
And it is. One question that Robin Williams asked me, a lady here at the films here in Surfers. She said, I would have liked to ask this question for Mark. He said, have you ever choked and dropped off a potential wave? And if so, was it due to instinct or danger?
I have choked multiple times in competition. I found, because I always found it harder to deal with the pressure of the audience, watching what people were going to think, whether I win or lose heats. I had 2 finals at Pipeline that I made, and I came second and third in both final, and I had the chance to win them, and I choked under the pressure of the wanting to win the event. But I think that was probably not good mental preparation leading into the finals of those events, where I could let go of the crazy desire to win, because that crazy desire is what gets you all the way there in the first place. But then in that moment, you need to let go of that so you can access your ability under pressure. That's something at that time I didn't know how to do. And then out of fear, I have foreshore a bunch of times, had wipeouts. The wave that ruined my shoulder at Jaws, I jumped at the bottom of it to avoid, because I thought the lip was going to break on me, and I was terrified it was going to squash me. and I jumped, and because I jumped forward, put my arm in the water, it ripped out and dislocated. Whereas when I look back on the footage, I could have just rode out, like the wave was going to break behind me, and I would have been absolutely fine, and my career would be totally different. Like,
it's interesting that you say that. In that moment, you were getting the wipeout, and you thought this lip is going to fall on you, so you jumped. And then you said, but when I watched the footage from a different perspective, you saw, I could have made it. Same thing as when you record yourself in public speaking. You think everybody's staring at you, you come across as terrible speaker, but that's hence the reason why you're saying is record yourself when you look back at it and you're going, hey, I'm not that bad. Hey, I actually can pull it off.
You'll probably suck, but initially it will be that bad, but don't let that discourage you. Because the change you can make if you keep doing it is insane.
And it's important to, like you're saying, record yourself to get a better understanding and a perspective of seeing yourself, hey, I actually can do it, and how I can improve.
You can be you will be your most critical judge.
Yeah.
And you'll learn straight. You'll be so sensitive to the way I still find it hard to do it. I could be retired now, for sure. If I went when I first started speaking and did what I'm saying to do and recorded myself, I would have been way better, way quicker, got way more work and been done. I wouldn't have to do it anymore. I could go around and just speak at schools like I wanted to kids. But I didn't. I learnt on stage in a slow process because I was too nervous to force myself to do that level of preparation. Whereas, because I didn't have the obsession like I did in surfing, like I did for speaking, but when I got injured, then I had to,
Yeah. Mark, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. A pleasure to have you here, and I think everybody's listening in on this. It's going to find some valuable things, just even learning about gratitude, just learning about you feeling fear. You're not born this way. I love the way when you mention stuff like we can choose to think a different way, and when we choose to think a different way, we can act a different way.
I love ChatGPT spat out the best quote to me the other day. It was
what does it say?
It's hilarious when you're right with it. For someone like me who's a terrible writer, it goes, what was it? It was, fear's just a beginner's badge. It's not a life sentence.
That's so good.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm like, damn, that's pretty good.
But it's true.
There's no way I would have come up with that. But it's so true. That's exactly what I'm trying to get across in a sentence.
That's so true. Yeah. Mark, it's for everybody in business, in life, as a youngster going up, wanting to build a career, maybe become a surfer, doing something. Remember, it's not about how you were born or the background or the environment that you are in. It's where you place yourself in the environment. It's the people you surround yourself with. It's the getting mentors around yourself, focusing, set yourself challenges, set yourself a goal. Make sure where you are now is not where you need to be. Focus on where you want to be and drive yourself constantly, isn't it? It's that discipline, get in. And when you get knocked off, when you get a bad wipe, learn and get back on the board. Get back.
That's the hard part, but it's one of the most valuable parts.
It is. It's like they say, get back on the horse. Is there any final thoughts on your end?
I don't know. I think we're close to. I mean, when I watch this back and I'll go back through and I'll say I should have said this, and this, and then hopefully the next podcast I might do it a bit better. But yeah, I think we covered most of it. I mean, like that's my general framework that I like. It's like you got to figure out what you want. You got to focus on why you want it because that gives you the motivation. You surround yourself with an amazing team, and then that motivation that you create, you have to utilize everything at your ability to manipulate an environment that maximizes your motivation or utilizes it efficiently. Yeah. So that's building, habits that are good. It's setting strategies and frameworks and everything so you're taking that bit of motivation you have and getting the most out of it.
Yeah. So Mark does a lot of keynotes, as you heard. His story is amazing. If you ever want to get him onto with your team, no matter where you are, he travels the world. He'll probably take his surfboard with him. Where can they find you, Mark?
On my website, markmathews.com. Mathews is spelt with one T. That's probably the best way to come. Just come through the website, fills out a form. It comes direct to me, and I'll call you back within the day. That's
Mark
my whole
Mathews, 1T, markmathews.com. Mark, thank you so much. really a pleasure having you on this. This has been way overdue.
I've been waiting for it too.
But thank you so much. I think you're a massive inspiration for youngsters and for business leaders, and it's been amazing seeing you here. You've got a great family, and keep pushing, keep going, and hopefully one day we'll catch a wave together.
I appreciate it, mate. I'm looking forward to that too.
Well, thank you so much.